and welcome to Business Line. After 17 hours marathon talks, Europe's longest ever summit, Greece and its European partners have agreed on measures that critics say are even worse than those rejected by Athens a few weeks ago. Having come to power on anti-austerity platform, Greek Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras conceded to cuts and reforms that his people had decisively rejected in a referendum a week ago. A compromise deal agreed by both sides early on Monday morning was the result of what some described as extensive mental waterboarding for Tsipras. We want to know whether it could spell torture for Greece's economy. In this week's edition, I'll speak to my colleagues from Euronews Athens bureau who have been covering the Greek crisis on the ground for months. We have picked up 5 key points: VAT hikes, pension cuts and reforms to Greece's energy and labour markets, as well as the public administration. First, let's bring in Nicoletta Criticu in Athens. What impact could the so-called streamlining of the VAT system have, Nicoletta?
The streamlining of the VAT system and the broadening of the tax base will blow up both the expenses of the average Greek family and tourist industry. More items will be subject to the country's top VAT rate of 23%, including hotels and restaurants, while popular holiday destinations in the Greek islands will no longer benefit from the country's lower VAT rate. So, tourism professionals will be forced to roll the extra cost over to their guests. As a result, Greek tourism will be less competitive.
The pension system has been a key sticking point during Greece's painful negotiations with its creditors. Yannis Yeginis has been analysing this for us. Yannis, will cutting pensions really help the economy?
Sasha, no other country in the European Union spends as much as Greece's 17.5% of GDP on pensions. But half of the Greek pensioners receive less than the poverty limit. Many of them have seen in the last 5 years their pensions cut, others by a third, others by even 50%. While the average pension in Greece is around 700 euros per month, new measures will result in some cases to additional losses up to 400 euros per year, a vital amount for third-age people.
Greece has been told to get on with privatizing its energy transmission network operator. Theodora Iliadi brings us more about what this will mean for the energy sector and the wider economy. Theodora?
Well, the sweeping plan to save Greece from its crashing debt requires the sell-off of the country's electricity transmission network, known as ATMIE. Selling state assets could attract much-needed investment to the country, insist those who are in favor of the privatization. Others worry that the customers will have to carry the weight, since electricity prices will probably rise and jobs will be lost. The move is a stark turnaround for the Greek Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras, who has lashed out against earlier efforts to privatize the power grid, the state natural gas company and the public power corporation.
Greece's labour market has also been a target. I'm joined by Nicoletta Druga, who looks at how effective these reforms might be. Nicoletta.
Well, the labour market, heavily hit by the austerity measures of the past few years, is yet another area where Alexis Tsipras will have to make concessions. For instance, the government will have to rethink collective bargaining and perhaps allow collective dismissals. Also, the issues of Sunday trade and the opening of closed professions are both back on the table. And on top of that, we have analysts predicting a recession, which will probably bring more unemployment. Pretty much the last thing that this country needs right now.
Athens is also aiming to reform the public administration. How great will the impact of that be for Greece? Kostas Tsalas is with us with details. Kostas.
While in the opposition, Syriza adopted almost every demand made by the civil servants. They have to reduce the wages gradually in the public sector. They have to find a method to assess the civil servants. They even have to cooperate with the European Commission in order to depoliticize, as it is referred in the agreement, the public sector. These are all very deep, very harsh reforms that no other government during the previous years managed to implement. And keep in mind that the unions are ready to react.
Euronews Athens team continues to bring us all the latest Greek developments. Thank you for joining Business Line. More than 5 months of negotiations, political clashes, a referendum and finally tough and sleepless weekend talks. Greece's government has been fighting hard. Meanwhile, people and businesses have been waiting. Giacomo takes a look at what startups can do to survive in an economy in deep freeze.
Not being able to move money abroad has been a serious problem for Greek startups. Many young companies rely on foreign electronic services for things such as cloud computing capabilities. All that suddenly came to a halt when capital controls were introduced in the country, effectively blocking credit card payments. As such, the majority of the companies, especially in the tech ecosystem, are struggling to protect their business. Joining us now via Skype is Georgios Gatos, co-founder of Incrediblue, an online platform for private yacht and motorboat holidays. Georgios, what are the most common problems faced by Greek IT startups right now?
Since they can't pay for any service provided by companies abroad, and to give you an example, that can be server hosting, that can be online paid advertising. On top of that, those that have Greek customers too aren't able to receive payments from their customers, and that is because they use payment providers like PayPal, Braintree, that the Greek card issuers recognize as foreign transactions. Therefore, although the transaction happens in Greece, these companies cannot actually get paid.
What kind of measures are you taking to protect your day-to-day operations?
As soon as controls were imposed, we contacted our suppliers to raise awareness. Most of them offered credit for 30 days until things settled. Some of them offered even longer. Some of them gave free subscriptions. And it was very touching that you see that the global internet community responded very well. The majority of the companies had no issue, and they saw solidarity, which is very important. It's something that, it's nice to come across.
My thanks to Georgios Gatos, co-founder of Incrediblue.
Thank you.
That was it. That was IT.
And that was it for now. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.